marriage. Marriage is what brings us together today.
Okay.
Welcome, errant time lords, angel imposters, and the Langoliers any second now, I would think, to the 293rd episode of an Unearthly Podcast, streaming live on Valentine's Day Eve 2019, and featuring the Sarah Jane Adventures, the wedding of Sarah Jane Smith.
How apropos.
Written by Gareth Roberts and starring Elizabeth Sladen as Sarah Jane Smith, Tommy Knight as Luke Smith, Daniel Anthony as Clyde Langer, Anjali Mohindra as Rani Chandra, and guest starring David Tennant as the Doctor. I am Bill Sylvia, the Man in Black, and I keep eating chili dogs, but I can't run any faster. With me are Mad Matt Winchell.
I got that Langolier reference.
Randy Ronson McCulloch.
Gotta go fast.
And Tim the Enchanter Sheridan.
Love is all you need.
Thomas Fireheart, I believe, will not be joining us this evening, but he has left his thoughts on the episode. I don't know if he told us why.
I think he was going to be out of town. He warned us like a couple of weeks ago, like 2-3 weeks ago, after a podcast that there were going to be two.
That sounds about right. He was going to be busy with something. I forget what.
And he's either going to be in a place with absolutely no internet or with crappy hotel internet.
Mm-hmm.
So,
pick your poison.
Yeah, I know crappy hotel internet, and I wouldn't want to try to do this podcast over it. We've tried that a couple of times; it failed.
Yep,
always fails.
So, I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I'm sick of snow.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten enough up here yet for me to be sick of it.
Fuck you.
No, it's interesting because Monday night we had another freaking snowstorm here, and I had to go pick Aaron up from work in the fucking middle of it.
I had to clean snow twice.
No, cleaning snow's not an issue. When you're driving through 6 feet of unplowed, or not 6 feet, 6
For
inches
you, it's not an issue. You don't have to clean it at your apartment.
No, I have to drive all the way across town and 6 inches of it unplowed.
I usually don't do either of those.
I'm not driving right now. I'm skiing. I'm a little worried about this.
With any luck, though, I'm going to get paid an extra $30.
By the time I picked up Aaron and on my way home, some of the crossroads were plowed. Now, the interesting part about this is, of course, they leave that plow trail right in the road you're trying to get into. So you literally have to drive through a snowbank. So you're just like, "Bleh," and as your car suddenly goes all over the place, it's like, fuck you, plow!
That means speed, oh god!
Yeah, pretty much. And you're only going like 20 miles an hour, but it's still fucking frightening. I'm just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I hate snow. And of course, we're waiting for the next cold snap because that's the way it goes. Snow, subarctic temperatures. Snow, subarctic temperatures. That's kind of the pattern we're in.
Actually, we're going to hit 30-some degrees and get rain.
It seems here that the pattern tends to be snow, subarctic temperatures, 70.
Well, we don't hit 70. Yep. We occasionally hit 40, I think, once.
So far, yeah. Hit 40 for like 2-3 days, and all of a sudden they just turned right around and made a blizzard.
I exaggerate a little, but when the day before was -6, and then you get 60 plus sun, it feels like 70.
That is a little bipolar.
Yes.
Yes. The East Coast is bipolar.
Going from ski masks and heavy coats and long johns to Bermuda shorts. What
Pretty
the
much.
fuck?
That's life in New England.
We need to move south. We all need to move further south. Fuck this weather.
New York City, it's like it's freezing on the streets. When you go into the subway, it's roasting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're in New
I
England.
believe it.
Could you send us some clam chowder, please? All right.
Chowder.
Chowder.
It's a bowl of chowder, sir.
No. You're in Manhattan, Tim. I don't want your clam chowder. I want the stuff they got up there.
Actually, I don't mind the Manhattan stuff.
I've never had Manhattan clam chowder.
I got it.
Could I send you a bagel?
Oh, bagels are awesome. I will take all the bagels.
Yo, I
will
was
put them in the
actually
fridge.
at the conference I was at. One of the events, they actually served lox. I was like, holy shit. Like, it was just part of the hors d'oeuvres buffet. I was like, really?
I have the most bizarre rituals with bagels. Because what I do with a bagel depends on what bagel it is.
I don't know. If you're not making a little shrine and burning candles, then it ain't that weird.
Well, I get like an onion or a world bagel or one of those that has all the freaking seeds on the top and usually onion tasting on the insides. I have to butter those and microwave them. So the butter melts into the bagel.
Still not burning incense.
Any kind of bagel that has a fruit, blueberry, strawberry, whatever, those have to be made with warmed with cream cheese. Not the cream cheese warmed. The bagel has to just be slightly warmed.
Like toss in the toaster for like 10 seconds.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
If I get like a cinnamon raisin bagel, those have to be toasted then buttered. So 3 different kinds of bagels, 3 different methods to make them. Otherwise, I'm not happy eating them. It's weird, I know.
Can you tell we're tangenting, folks?
Oh, an egg bagel? I just eat those straight up.
Tangent ahoy!
Yeah, well, we've got time to kill tonight.
We usually do opening banter before we start getting into business. Today we're
but now we're talking
about weather and food.
Now we're talking about tangents.
Yeah, weather and food. Yeah.
Yeah.
So McDonald's has this. No, just kidding.
Shoot me.
On tonight's show, we've got a bit of news, a bit of birthdays, not a lot of either. Bill has some geek talk that his backlogged that he's going to do.
Mm-hmm. He's got plenty of it.
A review of Shame that they refused to read last week.
Oh yeah. We told you guys we refused to read his review of Shame. It's here tonight. We've got a few more of the score upgrades that Thomas has put in, and since those are just general upgrades, not reviews, we will go through those.
We'll just plow through those quickly, yeah.
And then our episode news, our episode summary, our review ratings, and that should be it. So let's kick into the news. Starting with birthdays, we've got 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
First one's on the 10th of February and is the birthday of Peter Purvis, better known as Stephen Taylor, from 1964 to 1966. He turned 80. The big 80.
He has officially hit the good run. Hopefully you're still doing well.
Yeah. Just because you've hit that doesn't mean you need to kick off anytime soon, Peter. Keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
By all means.
Yes.
Especially since I think you're pretty vital to like at least 2-3 big finish lines right now.
That's right. Yeah, he's a part of that, isn't he?
Yeah, and I think he's been doing more for Big Finish than Ian Russell lately, so the latter might be heading toward retirement.
Maybe.
And then yesterday, the 12th of February, saw the birthday of Nabil Shaban, who played Syl, that wonderful little lizard-like creature that had to be carried everywhere in the 1985 episode Vengeance on Varos. And again in, what was it? Mind Warp?
Mind Warp, yeah.
Yep.
Is mine something?
It was part of the Trial of the Time Lord. It was the second episode where we actually got to see his home planet, and wish we hadn't. So
And
that
they
is the
never
same
filmed
episode that brought us. Yes, indeed, the same episode that brought us.
Oh,
Brian
Blessed.
Blessed.
Yes.
Yes.
And he was also he was also supposed to be in a never filmed episode featuring the Ice Warriors that eventually Big Finish picked up.
Shame. Did they actually get him to come in for that Ice Warrior episode?
Like for the Big
For-
Finish
for
version.
Big Finish,
I don't
yeah.
think I don't it was the season that never went into production of the Sixth Doctor.
They might have recently.
Ooh.
Yeah,
For
for Big Finish they definitely did it.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that's what I was asking for. Is did the Big
Yeah.
Finish get him in for that?
Because
Because if they did that, I totally want to review that sucker.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the last like 3-4 years, they went back and they did those unofficial.
The unofficial missing episodes.
The unofficial like 24th season or 23rd season.
Yeah.
And made big finishes out of a lot of those. Actually, he's been in a couple of big finishes. Mission to Magnus and Antidote to Oblivion, 2009 and 2013.
I think Mission to Magnus is the one that I'm talking about.
Mm.
But yeah, so they've gotten him for a couple.
Fly, my husband.
He is not by any reason a regular to Big Finish, but
it's nice to know that he can be around when they need him.
yeah.
Hmm.
Well, you know they
Because
just
who
got-
needs indoor voices?
Yeah, that was supposed to be the original part of the 1986 season, and they redid it in Big Finish, Mission to Magnus. So there you go.
Speaking of Nabil, though, here really quick, I found out through trying to look up images for him that he's both been doing stage acting as well as writing books.
Yeah.
Just
He's
a little.
He's a very talented dude.
Mm-hmm. Just a little aside, but yeah. He's still working it.
And then let's see, Antidote to Oblivion was just apparently a main range. Yeah, it was 182 in the main range. And yep, he's playing Syl. It's like, dude, we could get Nabil Shaban. He's not doing anything right now. We could get him to do Syl for
Is he doing stage play right now? No, get him in. Get him in.
Yeah.
We'll double his sandwiches. Just get him in
Quickly,
here.
write an episode with Syl. Have it on my
Make
desk
sure
by
he
Monday.
has the laugh at one point, and we're good.
Syl versus the Daleks. Write it down. Yeah.
Ah.
I can't see that lasting very long.
Oh, that depends upon how the guards he's got.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be directly versus, but
Yeah, it would be mostly like maybe him trying to shadow run them from afar or something. Just kind of like trying to play up a master role almost.
Mm-hmm.
Because that is the kind of character Syl is.
Anyway, happy birthday to Peter and Nabil.
Happy
We've got no lost stories this week.
Hooray!
No real episode news other than the fact that filming has started in Cardiff, but we've got no real details on that.
Set filming, yay!
Yep. And then we've got some award news.
Awards! Yay, awards! The Series 11 episode Rosa won a Visionary Arts Organization Award for Television Show of the Year. This award, given to celebrate culture, media, and entertainment that have made a positive social impact via film, television, music, theater, literature, radio/online, and grassroots community, is a new one, and this is the first time Doctor Who has been nominated, much less won. The show beat out Save Me, Kiri, First Dates, EastEnders, and There She Goes to win the award.
Okay.
Good for them.
Beat out of EastEnders. Good for them, yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah,
that was one of the better historicals of the season, so thumbs up.
Mhm.
All right. We move on from there to Big Finish news, where we've got a little bit. New to the main range, it's the further adventures of the Fifth Doctor, Tegan Turlough, and Chameleon. 2 stories on one disc. In the first, the TARDIS shows up in 1900s Wales, just in time for a mine that has dug too deep. In the second, Tegan is forced to take part in an interdimensional game show. Doctor Who Black Thursday / Power Game is available now from Big Finish for £14.99, $12.99 download.
Yep. That's as
Also,
close as I could get to the summaries.
also out now, the second part of the Fourth Doctor's 8th series continues. 4 Doctors are in the set, including Time's Assassin by Guy Adams, Fever Island by Jonathan Barnes, and The Perfect Prisoners Part 1 and Part 2 by John Dorney. The Fourth Doctor Adventures Series 8, The Syndicate Master Plan Volume 2, is now available at the pre-order price of £25 CD, $20 download.
They're still holding it at the free order price for this moment. Volume 1 is also available still at that price.
The Syndicate Master Plan, so that's the inner circle of people that continued to work after the Daleks got destroyed after Master Plan, I take it.
I have no idea what the Syndicate Master Plan's about, really.
Because it looks like some very familiar faces in there, alien-wise.
It might be. I have not really... we haven't done Part 1, so...
Be interesting to look into that, to see how it ties in and how it tries to improve on things.
It's possible. Yeah, I'm looking at those faces, and they look like ones from Dalek Master Plan.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Anyway, that is all the news we have.
That's literally it. Goodbye, folks. Good night.
You know how Chibnall likes to keep everything close to the chest, so we know there's filming going on, but we don't know what.
Again, sets, so it could be anything from just small locales to giant hallways.
Rumor has it that they were filming on Cardiff Bay.
On Cardiff Bay? Oh, we're doing location shots. Okay.
Chibnall's secretive enough that we could get... If there was an upload by the official Doctor Who Facebook page as soon as we finish the podcast saying that there will be a Valentine's Day special, I would not be surprised.
There'll be one tonight at 8 p.m.
Right.
Yeah, he'll just be clutching onto that one until the last second and then just go, and go.
Okay, so let's talk about the score issues changes. As we know, Thomas has been trying to catch up on the Sarah Jane adventures that we have missed.
Or he's missed.
Well, yeah, so he's missed. So he's caught up with 3 of them now. The first one is The Lost Boy, which we covered in episode 197. And he gave that one a 5.0, so he really liked that one. That will not change its score, as we all gave it 5s.
Ha.
So, if anything, it just stayed in the same spot or just etched
And yet it has such
up.
a generic title that I can't... Or is that the first episode?
No, that's the last episode of the first season,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, now I remember what it's about. Now that you say that.
The next one he touched was The Last Sontaran, which I believe we watched.
I think that was part of our All Sontarans run.
Yep. Need to find where that is.
Same Enemy of the Bane.
That one was amazingly good for television, for a children's show.
He gave that one a 4.5.
Which is pretty close.
Might slightly change its score, but it isn't going to be much. Currently rating a 4.3. That'll change it to a 4.33, which will not change its score on the poster boards.
So it stays more or less the same. All right.
All right. The third one is Enemy of the Bane. That was the one that I think had the Brigadier in it.
Yep.
I think that was one of the first ones we saw, other than the first one.
It was another Sontaran episode.
Yeah, it was part of the Sontaran duology they were doing from Sarah Jane.
They started and ended the season with the same Sontaran.
Okay, and he gave that one a 4.5 as well. That does more or less reflect what the panel gave it.
So it's not going to shift much, if at all.
4.25 to a 4.29. So that will also not change its scoring because it will still round up to a 4.3. All right. So
which tells you how solid these reviews were if we can't even shift them with a new guy, and we were pretty on the nose.
The other ones were going up points or two from Thomas's review.
Yeah, it's good to have inter-rater reliability there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right, so now we're going to our Geek Talk section.
Skip something.
Oh, I did? What'd I skip?
Review of Shame.
Oh, yes, sorry.
Shame.
It wasn't colored in.
Shame.
Sorry, I did miss the review of Shame.
Mm-hmm.
That's in the wrong place.
And which episode was it, Bill?
That was
Inferno.
Yes.
So Liz Shaw's final episode from our Departures series.
Mm-hmm. Which goes to show how long this one's been sitting in Bill's to-do box.
Mm-hmm. Mainly because I wasn't really motivated to find the previous story, which was mostly lost, and I knew it was going to take a lot of attention. But I'm trying to knock out about one a week until I'm caught up.
Okay. So your thoughts on Inferno?
So what I liked, Inferno is one of the longest stories at about 150 minutes, yet it manages to make good use of this by properly introducing and following up with every concept. Even manages to toe the line of using multi-universal relations as shorthand without being lazy about it. By the way, this is pre-written since, as I mentioned, it was typed out for last week when I wasn't here. So, yeah.
Yep.
What I did not like, I've been saying this a lot lately, and while even though I make some allowances for older stories, I still roll my eyes when the antagonist is yet another corporate stereotype. Just annoying. Best scene. It's hard to pick a favorite, so I'll choose a scene that made some annoying ones less annoying. Even we realized... Wait, I think that's supposed... Oh, no, sorry. That's supposed to say when. When we realized that the director is functionally possessed and that he's not accusing people of sabotaging him exclusively out of thick-headedness. That does improve a few scenes because it actually shows that he's, that there's a motive for the thick-headedness.
If I remember correctly, he's still an ass, but not as bad of an ass.
Exactly.
Shame.
My least favorite scene is the scene with the fire extinguisher. If you're going to have a piece of modern technology play a major role in your climax, you should really be aware how they work. Fire extinguishers smother the fire with foam. They're not cold rays.
Yes, but do we know that's true in the Doctor Who universe?
Shame.
Yes.
Final thoughts. Despite some minor nitpicks, I really like this episode. It lived up to its reputation and then some. Rating 5 out of 5.
Okay, I have to ask, Bill.
Okay.
What was your thoughts on Nicholas Courtney without a mustache?
It definitely is surreal to see him without a mustache.
It is.
And then 5 minutes later, see him with it.
No, it doesn't matter. You see him without that mustache, you're just like, that face is wrong.
Right.
Yeah. It's like seeing Sam Elliott without a mustache.
All right. So,
although I was reminded to expect it because that's one of those scenes where they set you up for in the very beginning and then follow up on later.
Yeah, but it's always great because it's like the freaking anti-Spock. You know, you go into the mirror universe in the Star Trek episode. Spock has the beard, the whole goatee going, everything, and it's like we can't do that here. He already has a mustache.
Jose, I wonder if this was partially inspired by that.
I'm pretty sure it was. Wow, you gave this the highest score.
Really?
Yeah.
I think we got close. I think a couple gave 4.5s.
No, everybody gave this a 4. This one was a solid 4. Until Bill comes in.
Its reputation is along the lines of a 5, but I hadn't checked you guys' scores before rating it.
Yeah, I think we talked about this, and we talked about a couple of, either plot holes or art holes or something, special effects holes, something like that.
I think there's 1 or 2 things that we found in our discussion that particularly annoyed us as a group, yeah.
So having Bill up that to a 5 bounces that from a flat 4 to a 4.2. That'll be seeing some changes when we do the scores.
Mm-hmm.
Which, as I've mentioned, we now do at the end of the episode. because otherwise I have to keep flip-flopping that stupid table. Speaking of which, I need to make those entries, but Bill has movies to talk about.
Hi, yes. So the first, I saw some movies basically on my flight to and from Portland for the psychology conference I was attending that caused me to miss last week's podcast. The first one that I saw was Ant-Man and the Wasp. And I wrote down my notes on that during the flight, so I'll just read that off. I'm glad Luis was able to tell a story. The movie felt a little less comedic than the first movie, but that's mainly because the two movies started off in such very different places. I think it was pretty good, though I'd have to rewatch the first one to know which one I liked more. Overall, I recommend it to pretty much any MCU fan.
All right.
Okay. Next
that is the only MCU movie I have not seen.
I have not seen Thor 2.
I've not seen Thor 2 as well. I haven't seen Iron Man 3.
Mind you, that's the only MCU movie I've seen and wish I hadn't.
I
Thor
haven't
2?
seen Avengers 2 yet either.
The only thing that makes Thor 2 enjoyable is watching the banter between Thor and Loki.
Oh.
The rest of the movie's completely forgettable.
I don't think that I've seen the marginally canon, not Ruffalo Hulk that is technically...
The Incredible Hulk? That's actually a good movie.
The Incredible Hulk, that's actually a really good movie, and that is part of canon.
And speaking of that, whatever happened to the Mad Thinker?
You're talking about the Hulk movie? I think that got just wiped away as if it didn't exist.
The Ang Lee Hulk movie, is ignored.
No. The Sam Stearns in The Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton. Played by...
I, honest to God, do not remember.
Shrug
I think.
and
Oh,
raise
that's
an
right. You
eyebrow.
only saw him at the end.
Yeah.
I don't know. They never did anything further with that because they don't have the rights to do any more Hulk movies.
Yeah, I believe it's Paramount has it
that's
still.
Why.
Damn it.
I don't think it's Paramount. I think it's like Universal or Columbia or somebody like that. It's one of those off-brand. It's one of the off-brand studios.
I thought it was Paramount, but it could have been Universal, and Universal is still kind of mainline. I don't know where you're getting off-brand, but yeah. It might be something underneath Universal that has
the big
it.
studios these days are Disney, Warner Brothers, and Paramount. Those are the big three studios. and Paramount is rapidly losing ground.
I was about to say, and Paramount is having some issues with that.
Oh, it's having some issues, but it hasn't lost that. A lot of the others.
Oh, you're talking for live action then, because
for movies in general,
animation would be different.
For live action movies, yes. They're the big three as far as volume put out and budget put into theaters. Companies that used to be in there were Universal, Sony, Columbia Pictures, and they just can't keep up with the volume of the big three. The thing is, Paramount has been rapidly losing traction because a lot of their movies were financial failures. Warner Brothers isn't that far behind Paramount. And Fox. I forgot 20th Century Fox, so big four.
Mm-hmm. Well, Fox is now slowly going to be dissolved into Disney, so...
Correct.
Bye-bye.
But it's still technically its own entity, though.
For the moment, yeah.
Speaking of Fox, that's a good segue into the next movie that I watched. Deadpool 2, which I'm pretty sure has been reviewed in a few different formats on this podcast.
Yep.
I definitely enjoyed it. Morena, I do wish that they had a little bit more to do with Morena Baccarin's character. They kind of made her relatively one note, partially because of what happened with her in the story. And I don't really want to spoil the ending of that, even though it came out a bit. But yeah, it technically was a fridging, even though there was a lot more to it than the average fridging, so it's kind of redeemed there. But by the definition, it still was. And also I missed... and I really thought there were some opportunities for some of that banter from the first movie to come back, but instead she just kind of has this one note that, and doesn't really
I'm
have
wondering
that.
if for part of this she just wasn't available that much for film.
Yeah, I mean, I have a feeling it
Possibility.
almost seems like they had her come in 1 or 2 days on set, and that was about it. Maybe she had something else she had to do.
It's almost
Mhm.
like you're not
Gotham.
available, and we can only get you in on the set for about a day or
Mhm.
two.
Maybe they pulled her off the Gotham set for a couple days.
It's something like that, yeah.
Good luck with Batman, by the way.
It's possible also that there's just so many relevant characters in this movie that they had trouble fitting in any extra dialogue for her.
That's also very likely. They had to shelve some characters.
Mhm. But I do think it was pretty original. I was really not expecting the ending to go the way that they did. I knew they were going to do something, but I didn't expect it to go quite as far as it did go.
Well, it didn't it didn't go as far as it could have. Did I tell you did you know the story of the after credits scene that was deleted?
Oh yes, I've seen that.
Yeah. Apparently the directors went, "Okay, that's a bit too
Speaking of
far."
after credits, though, and I think it's safe to, this is well known enough that it's safe to spoil it at this point. But he killed Ryan Reynolds before he could play Green Lantern, but that means that the abomination known as Blade Trinity is still exists.
It's not all bad. Well,
Of
the
course,
third
of
movie,
course,
but
Yeah,
you,
That's the third. That's what I mean. The third movie, the one in which
we are
Ryan
a
Reynolds is
podcast
in it.
about Doctor Who, which is a quintessential show about time travel. Does anybody else see the amount of paradox that he's kicked up in those after credit scenes?
well, if he killed himself before Green Lantern 2, doesn't that mean he just killed Deadpool
To
as
be
well?
fair, the entire motive of the story is a guy said, "I want to create a paradox."
Yes, but how many other paradoxes he created in that last after credit scene? No, he killed Ryan Reynolds before he could sign the card to the first Green Lantern movie. He changed history.
Yeah, which
And
means
yet-
that he technically undid his own movie.
And yet,
Correct.
Ryan Reynolds as Hannibal King is still a thing.
But
God, I hated that character
if he then killed
and
himself
that movie.
before he could sign Green Lantern, and thus before he signed the first Deadpool movie, how could he go back in time in the second Deadpool movie to kill himself? And if
Because Thanos used the Infinity Gauntlets to make it so he
Wrong!
could never die.
wrong continuity, wrong continuity. Sit down.
Actually, it's not. Apparently, they're already
Bre-
saying that they're making a Deadpool 3 and it's going to be rated R
Breaking-
still.
Breaking the
Yes.
No, he's talking about the it was comic Thanos that did this, not MCU
Oh.
Thanos.
Even if you're invoking MCU Thanos, it is still at this point the wrong continuity. Until Disney fully takes over Fox and goes, yes, Deadpool 1, Deadpool 2, we're just going to plunk those right into the MCU as done.
Luckily, Deadpool is the one franchise where that kind of fourth wall breaking continuity error is permitted.
Are you
Mm.
kidding? You got to remember, Deadpool 1, Colossus going, I'm going to take you to see the professor, and him going, McAvoy or Stewart. These timelines are confusing.
Yes, exactly. Let me see. In this one, he referenced Thanos, and what other reference did he make?
Of course he did. Because I believe
He
Cable is Thanos.
Yeah, Josh Brolin, yeah. And he referenced something else in the MCU too.
No,
Um,
my favorite one in there is when he's bitching about how they never see anyone in the X Mansion. And shortly thereafter, there's a scene where he's walking past a room and you can see every character from the X-Men franchise.
Yes, and the camera people.
And Beast just walks up and closes the doors.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, that's fucking perfect. I still wish for Deadpool 1 they'd been able to do the after credit scene they wanted to of Beast shitting on his lawn. The problem is that both actors that play Beast were unavailable.
Although, what's it? Oh, damn it!
You realize that the last fight
You-
in Deadpool 1 was on a SHIELD helicarrier?
Yep.
Though Hugh Jackman does make it into Deadpool 2.
Yay.
But yeah, so I'm sure it's no surprise to anyone. Deadpool 2 is good. If you liked Deadpool 1, go watch it.
Yeah.
It's worth the what is it, the $3 or whatever on Amazon Prime to rent it. Probably
Yeah.
more than that, but I'm a cheapskate.
I think it's like $5 or $6 for Deadpool 2, $3 for Once Upon a Deadpool.
Mm.
And the final movie that I saw was Pacific Rim Uprising. And I'll be honest, other than the mechs and the kaiju, I could not, like, as this movie started, I could not remember any of the character arcs from Pacific Rim.
Apparently you don't need to because they destroyed most of them.
Well, this is supposed to be a prequel, so...
No, it's a sequel.
It is a sequel? Oh,
yeah,
shit.
It is a sequel.
Yeah, it was...
Basically,
I remember when this movie came out, my friend who had been this diehard Pacific Rim fan was like, how could you have gotten it this wrong?
I really like the first one too, so that's a shame.
Yeah. But
Okay, by the way, just to let you know, it's $20 for Deadpool 2 on Amazon right now.
Ouch.
Oh. For digital?
Buy movie HD, there's no rental on it.
Oh,
You
wow.
can just buy it for $20.
So,
like the
so maybe
first
that was a
one.
temporary price that I had seen before.
Yeah.
It was.
You can still get one. You can still rent Once Upon a Deadpool
Either-
for $6.
Either that or unless it's for rental on YouTube.
It might be.
That's a possibility too. Anyway.
But yeah, this one, I don't think it's as good as Pacific Rim 1. It definitely has some good moments. And in some places ups the ante, but it's one of those movies where it takes a little longer than it should to get rolling, and then everything happens at once, and then the movie's over.
So it kind of blows all of its wad near the end. And
Yeah,
that's it.
so it's like there's a I don't know if twist is the right word. There's a surprise that kind of reveals like weird shit going on, but that's about halfway through the movie, and then most of the action is after that.
So
it's just
boring
surprise.
twist, action, done.
Yeah.
was like the final
surprise! What a
action scene would
twist!
start,
Action.
And then all of a sudden it was over, and I was like, "Wait, what the fuck?"
What? I fell asleep during the first part. What happened?
Yeah. So
did someone hit a fast forward remote somewhere?
I would honestly watch this if it's free on like Netflix or free on Prime or something, but I probably would not recommend spending money unless you're. Well, I wouldn't even say if you're. Can't say if you're a diehard Pacific Rim fan because you just heard that account. So yeah, it's not awful, but it's not something I would go out and spend money on just for its own sake.
Well, they couldn't even get most of the actors back for this one.
Right.
Yeah, I thought it was supposed to be a prequel. If it's actually a sequel and they lost all those actors, yeah, that's already signed, sadly.
But yeah, it's Owen's actor returns, another actor who I hadn't actually remembered, but like I hadn't because his face isn't that memorable. I don't know him from anything else, but he returns. The main character returns for part of it.
Apparently, you can watch Pacific Rim for free if you're subscribed to an HBO channel.
There you go.
Rim Uprising.
Which I'm like, if you're spending the money for the sake of Game of Thrones, then sure, why not?
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's pretty much my review on that.
All right. And those are our movies. We've got about 10 minutes or so. Anybody else see anything interesting recently?
I got a to-do list for things I need to watch, but I haven't gotten to them yet.
I've been mostly duck and covering because it's just been snow cold.
I haven't been able to get to it because of the snow, but I'm late on last month's review, which is going to be Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance, just so I can finish the Ghost Rider movies. And then for February,
Spirit of Vengeance, which one was that?
That's the second one.
With...
Both of them have Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, that was the one where he did narration, wasn't it?
again, both of them, he did star Nicolas Cage, and both of them have him
Because
narrating.
I think we saw that second one, and I was like, oh my god,
Does he take control of a crane at one point?
I don't remember. All I
'Cause that would be
remember
the
from
second
that
one.
movie is going, oh my god, he sounds like he's high from Raising Arizona.
Again,
That's-
he narrates both of them, and he sounds bored narrating both of them, so shrug.
That night I had a dream. Yeah, it's like, oh god damn it.
I think the first one had more narration, so it might have been the first one you saw.
I don't know. Either way.
Either way, I remember them both being terrible, so I'm going to not be pleased with this one again, probably. But also my February review, when I finally get to it as well, is going to be Bill and Ted.
Oh boy, Bill and Ted.
Well, at least Keanu Reeves can act like Keanu Reeves in Bill and Ted.
Which Bill and Ted?
The first one.
Excellent adventure.
Yep.
Does that mean that next month you're doing Bogus Journey?
Haven't decided.
Hmm.
Might. Especially if I'm in a time crunch, I might just go fuck it and go right into it, since I have both.
Because, Keanu Reeves in Bill and Ted, whoa, there's something strange going on at the Circle K. Keanu Reeves in The Matrix, whoa, I know Kung Fu. It's the same damn personality. You could watch The Matrix and just insert Ted lines the entire time. I've done it.
He's a little less sugar high in Matrix, though.
No, well, he looks less stoned.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say sugar high. I would say high.
Yeah, I would say The Matrix is more of an ecstasy than a weed movie.
Yeah. Whereas he looks like he looks like he just came in from toking in Bill and Ted. He really does. He looks like he's burnt out.
But yeah, those are my future viewing movies once I finally get to see them shake fists at the sky. Once I can see them!
Okay, so I guess it's time for the episode summary. And I believe it is your turn, Matt.
Yes, I believe I was told it was. I got the stopwatch ready. I assume you want to get the stopwatch ready on your end as well.
Yeah, give me a moment.
I'm all out of Dr. Pepper.
Okay, ready?
Second, check this out really quick. Yep, alright, should be good.
And 3, 2, 1, jam.
Alright, so we start off Sarah Jane Adventures. This time, Sarah Jane has decided she needs to go out for the evening for a little bit. She says goodbye to Lucas and to K9, who's apparently out regularly at this point, and leaves the house. Soon after, Lucas is calling the others, and they quickly come in and start to try and snoop on Sarah Jane and where the heck she's going. She said she was, I believe, going to town hall or something like that, but stops far away from it. The kids then give chase and find out that she's at a restaurant, and not more than a few moments after spotting her in the restaurant, they see her kissing a guy. They quickly go back home and start to go back and forth as to what's going on when she finally shows up and goes, okay, what's going on? Why is Mr. Smith out? To which Mr. Smith immediately admits to the fact that he's been tracking her almost purposely. And then when questioning K9, K9 says that Ronnie told him not to say anything either. To which Sarah Jane shoos them all off after telling Lucas that she was planning to tell him eventually pretty soon, hopefully, and then later on decides to talk to him about it a bit further before she lets him go to bed. Long story short, the next couple sequences are, I believe, a couple of weeks to a couple of months passing through very quickly. I believe, yeah, at one point, while Sarah Jane's out on another date again, the other kids decide to have a look at the address that Sarah's new boyfriend was giving. Actually, the previous meetup was so that he could actually meet Lucas and the K9 suddenly came out and there was a chase of an alien, which the other two kids managed to capture and get a message back to home for it so that they could beam it back and get it off of Earth where it didn't belong. And then the second time, the same two kids, Ronnie and my brain.
Clyde.
This is Clyde. This is why I had the list, but I didn't have the list right there though. Ronnie and Clyde go off to, I think it's Peters. Is that the guy's name?
I think so.
Sarah's boyfriend. They go off to Peters' house and find the place to be more or less abandoned. Lots of things wrapped up in plastic, and a giant pile of mail at the front door, as if no one's been here for at least a handful of months. So Ronnie and Clyde come back. They tried to question both Lucas and Sarah about it, to which Sarah's like, well, the main reason is because he doesn't really live there. He lives on a flat in London where close to where he works. He stays most of the time there. And this is also after the fact that Peter had given her a ring and got engaged with Sarah, and Sarah just all of a sudden, off the cuff, decides that Mr. Smith needs to be shut down and the attic door needs to be locked up, and they need to try and leave all the adventure stuff behind them. And a few weeks later, they're getting married. Obviously, at this point, Clyde in particular, smells something really fishy. Ronnie's just going with it, as is Lucas, even though all of them felt like this was getting rushed pretty quickly. And also, periodically throughout all this, they've been hearing strange sounds, but haven't really figured out what it is that's trying to show up or where the noises are coming from. At the wedding reception, just as Sarah is about to say "I do," we finally hear the full-on TARDIS sound effect as the 10th Doctor comes racing in to try and stop the wedding. At the last second, the Trickster shows up, apparently the quote-unquote angel, according to Peter, and whisks everyone away. In one pocket dimension, he has the kids and the Doctor, and in another dimension, he has Peter and Sarah, and he's trying to force Sarah to say yes to giving up adventures and marrying to Peter, so that way the Trickster and his minions can raise all the chaos they want throughout London and pursue their interests without someone like Sarah getting in the way. Long story short, the Doctor manages to get the TARDIS to peek in to then give the message off to Sarah. This gives Clyde enough time to also absorb some energy by accident from the TARDIS, and he can shock the Trickster with it to let the Doctor in. Just a lot of stuff all at once. And in short, they give the message through to Peter that if he's the only way to end this, and without people getting harmed even further, both directly and indirectly by them, he needs to give up so that Sarah Jane can continue to protect people. And so Peter unwillingly gives up and admits to his own accident that caused him to go to near death and got involved with the Trickster. And thus, the Trickster's plot is foiled. Peter just disappears, and Sarah Jane goes back home and has one more little talk with the Doctor before he also leaves and lets her continue her life on Earth. The end.
All right. Did that in 5 minutes and 7 seconds.
Yeah, I was at about 36. By the way, you're very far away.
Sorry, I put my headphones up for.
Thought so.
I was about to ask if that was what you did.
Yeah.
Either that or you were down the hall.
Well, these new headphones don't have a on unit mute.
Mm.
However, I do like them because there's only one plug rather than two.
Yeah.
And so
That
they
would help.
actually work perfectly with my laptop. Also, my headphones are made by my favorite company, Plantronics.
They're usually pretty solid, although I will say they had to pinch a little bit. I think
These
I've gotten
don't.
used to this pair. I think I've gotten used to this pair. This pair doesn't pinch as much as it used to, at least.
Is that another one of the game comms?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, this is a Rig 505 Lava, and it's actually pretty nice. It doesn't really pinch because it's like fully adjustable, so kind of awesome.
Might look into that if I ever need another headset, but yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, you got most of the points in. You got the point that I was going to have to add in if you didn't get, so. Because
Which
it's
one was
actually,
that?
I almost
the
skipped
fact-
the first alien bit.
no, that's not important at all.
Oh.
That's just completely comedy fluff. The important part is that Clyde absorbed Artron energy.
The energy,
yes.
yeah.
Because, spoiler alert, that will become relevant
Oh,
in next
Okay.
week's episode.
Mm.
but yeah, that slug thing could have had yakety sax playing.
Yeah,
At one point, yeah.
it was pretty much just pure comedy for them. Yep. Anyway, I forgot to do this. I've been remiss. I need to roll who goes first. How many of us
Naughty
are there?
boy.
There are 1, 2, 3, 4 people I need to check on. 3. 3 would be Thomas. So let's get his notes up. You want to read Thomas's notes, Bill? For what his favorite
sure.
aspect is?
Okay, so Thomas's favorite aspect of the episode was, despite the Doctor being involved, it's still ultimately Sarah Jane herself who is responsible for overcoming the Trickster. The Doctor reminds her how to beat the Trickster, but it's still Sarah Jane's influence that makes Peter go back on the deal.
All right.
Yeah, it is
And
Peter.
then, next one would be Matt.
I like the fact that even though you get suspicious of Peter, he turns out to be the most innocent guy in all of this.
Yeah, he's not 100% innocent.
He's not
but
100% innocent, but he's completely and totally naive of whatever is going on.
Yeah, he's been taken advantage of.
He's not really a villain. He's just a guy who had a bad string of sudden luck.
Mm-hmm. One thing you didn't mention in your summary is the fact that to accept it, as you said, he basically had to die.
Yeah, essentially he had to give up the possibility of getting married to Sarah Jane in order to then allow himself to die and not be a part of the Trickster's plans anymore.
Yep.
And allowing him to pass on and essentially warp time, I assume, too. So he
Yeah.
just suddenly disappears. At least to everyone who was watching.
All right. Tim, how about you?
Going off, I really liked the actor who played Peter. I thought he had a very challenging thing to do, which is in the space of only 2 22-minute episodes, portray the person that Sarah would it makes logically fall in love with, and like pull that off.
Not only that,
believably.
but also try to feign at least something close to being somewhat of a possible father figure for Lucas. So that neither one of them would have an issue with him suddenly coming into the family.
Especially in the light of like who Sarah's quote ex is.
Quote unquote ex, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The other man.
The other
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Bill. How about you?
So I'm going to say that I like. I tend to like episodes that involve temporal shenanigans and alternate and like extra universes and things, and this is no exception. I just I like that sort of episode, and this is a good example of one, especially with the whole separate moments trapped in time thing.
Mm-hmm. And this is not the first time Doctor Who has done that either.
No.
Mhm.
So
In fact, I
what
think they've been doing that as far back as the Fourth Doctor, at least. Maybe even further.
No, before that. Before that.
Second Doctor? Maybe even a little bit of... Actually, a little bit of the First Doctor, even.
Oh yeah, Space Museum.
The Space Museum.
Space Museum, and I think wasn't the second story... the story right after Caveman, wasn't that also one, too?
No, that was the Daleks.
Was that Daleks? I thought there was something else.
Nope.
Right after the Daleks, there was an episode where the TARDIS goes bananas.
Yeah, that one I was thinking
But
of.
that really wasn't that. That was them traveling backwards in time to the beginning of time.
Well, it was the
And nearly
TARDIS
dying.
going crazy to kind of warn them that shit's going crazy, that we're all gonna die.
Mm-hmm. But they weren't trapped in time.
It
The Space
wasn't
Museum,
exactly a
though,
dimensional trap, yeah.
the Space Museum, though, they were actually kind of stuck between 1 second and the next. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're somehow sideways in time space. And
Yep.
they even saw themselves at one point, I believe.
can't remember. Anyway, so I'm going to kind of go off Bill because what I like are stories that do not have, and they all lived happily ever after endings.
Mm.
Because those are just too unrealistic for me. And this is they did not live happily ever after. The man had to die in order for this to go on. It's reminiscent in a way of the first series episode Father's Day.
Yeah, very much so.
And I enjoyed that same thing as the fact that there wasn't a happy way out. There wasn't an everybody lives
Moffat
moment.
wrote it.
Oh yeah. Moffat wrote it. The Doctor would have fucked time sideways and yanked him somehow forward so he's fine. And
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
thank goodness
everybody
Moffat
lived
wasn't involved.
and-
Otherwise, that would have just underwhelmed the episode itself.
And reunited him with his family just for good measure.
also they would have
Right.
right. And here's the people you were supposed to be with. Yeah. Go away, Moffat. Okay, so we talked about what we liked. What about what we disliked? And Thomas's notes are first.
All right. So Thomas said the Doctor confronting the nope. Forget I said those words. He said Sarah Jane just got mind controlled 2 stories ago. Repeating that again so quickly with the mind control ring idea seems a bit much, especially since it would have been easy to have Sarah Jane just willingly dismissing things because she wants this to be real.
No, I can't see Sarah Jane ever doing that of her own.
No, not of her own volition. No,
No,
no.
it's just-
She's already too involved. She doesn't want to let go.
I think I mean I don't think it would be as extreme, but I think she could have things where she would say I'm too busy right now and like blow off Mr. Smith for like a few minutes or something like that.
yeah, but
but not
actually
for
actually
weeks.
go into total shutdown.
Yeah, no.
that wouldn't happen.
And you saw the planned future of them clearing out the attic completely of all of that stuff. No, she couldn't do that.
No, someone had to
The
be
fact- the
manipulating
fact
her
is
to do
the
that.
the core thing about Sarah Jane is the fact that her life has been irrevocably changed
Mm-hmm.
by her travels with the Doctor. She can never give it up 100%. She might, start backburnering some of it and start trying to shuffle duties off on the others.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that would be something that would happen when they were older.
Yeah, it
Mhm.
would have to be an episode that took like it would have to be the type of distraction that means that the episode takes place in a couple days, not the weeks or months that it actually takes place.
Mm-hmm. And something like happened that where, time got warped. So that would be an episode that would involve a reset button. So where you would see an older version of Luke and Ronnie and Clyde that were like 18.
That would be interesting.
And at that point you can see her starting to go, yeah, well, you can handle the business now.
Mm-hmm.
I've done my bit. Could be something to said if she knows she had someone to hand it off to. But
Mhm.
not just completely go, nope, done. No, I can't see that. No.
And even if she started handing things off, I could still see her doing the investigative part at least, and then going, "Oh, this is too much for me. Yeah, you guys need to do this."
Okay, so Matt, what did you dislike about the episode?
What I disliked about the episode. Actually, I saw a few problems with some of the creature effects in the episode, and those actually were noticeable enough that it took me out for a moment.
In the slug thing, or
The
in
the
the
first one was the slug thing, and that one was like, it's a children's show, I can forgive it a little bit. But then the trickster, I noticed I could see his teeth behind his fanged teeth.
Mm.
I'm like, you couldn't just use a little bit of teeth blackout or whatever to hide those? Because that would have been super effective and you would have just seen the fangs. But no, I can see his flat teeth behind those. Just
Rows of teeth.
Oh,
Balls of teeth.
also, I noticed that sometimes the trickster's makeup on the top lip in particular started pulling away.
Mm.
Someone wasn't paying close enough attention, and I noticed that, and that's with low resolution video, I might add. I saw these problems.
Mm.
So, I think they need to be a little more careful in some spots, but otherwise, the majority of it was fine, but there are some points where I'm just like, and I'm out of it.
Okay, Tim, what did you dislike about the episode?
The part with the slug in the box, for this reason. Okay, you have this episode, the storyline where Sarah Jane meets someone she's willing to get married to, and you only have 22 minutes, and yet you can't make that story compelling enough to fill it up. That you need some filler, apparently. That didn't make.
I don't think that was
struck me
filler
as-
so much as rom-com shenanigans.
A little bit both.
They were trying
It
to
was-
play up the rom-comminess of their courtship.
Yeah, it was kind of sitcom-y. Person gets box of weird thing, but doesn't want boyfriend to see it, hands it off to friends who have to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's very sitcom-y plot.
At least it got resolved quickly, I give it that much.
Sitcom-y plot does not mean good, Tim, because sitcoms are freaking cheaply written.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wish they had incorporated more like the or like they brought it back
Okay.
somehow.
Sure.
Replay that scene and watch that scene and add a laugh track.
Yeah. And as we also said, add the Benny Hill music.
Yep.
Okay,
Or
Bill.
Scooby-Doo.
Or Scooby-Doo theme
about-
would also work, yeah.
You said Bill?
Yeah.
So I'm going to say the fact that the groom spends most of the second episode watching it being made very explicit that the person, and we're supposed to relate with him and, root for him. But it's being made very explicit in front of him that the person he allegedly loves is being coerced into marrying him and that she will face significant repercussions. And he's perfectly okay with that. He doesn't have any moment of, arguing with the trickster and being like, hey, that's not right. This isn't part of the deal. The deal is, pray I don't alter the deal any further type of thing. Nothing. He's just, but it's okay because we'll get married. And it's, fuck you, guy.
Okay. So what I don't like about the episode, is it me, or is the trickster the most unimpressive bad guy we get until Power of 3?
He seemed interesting, but yeah, he was very easily bamboozled a couple of times.
And I mean, all he ever does is he basically appears and he talks, and it's just...
I'm threatening and hand wave you. Ooh. And I got a
I'm
creepy
not-
Slenderman face with a mouth.
I'm not talking to you anymore, cheap knock-up Voldemort. Go away. I don't know. That's like the second appearance of the trickster, and I've never liked him in any of it. He just
Yeah,
doesn't
his
really
minions
feel
are more threatening.
Yeah. It's like when you're watching a Sentai thing and you've seen them fight the bad guy, and then the main guy comes out and you're just like, oh.
Yeah, you see them fight the side guy, and that was impressive, and all of a sudden Rio Repulsa comes out, and you're just like, oh.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. Is it Lord Zed again? God, get rid of his ass. Yeah.
And let me guess, Rio Repulsa's going to complain about a headache.
Yeah. Okay. So your favorite scene. And Tom. Mm-hmm.
So Thomas says his favorite scene is as quick as it is, Clyde's explanation for why he's so suspicious, being worded as him wanting Sarah Jane to stay happy. You could have easily written this all off as him being a selfish teenager who doesn't want things to change, but they actually go out of their way to make it clear he's suspicious because of how much Sarah Jane means to him, and that he doesn't want her to get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that is a good thing, is that if they didn't make them whiny, but this will change everything.
They did mention that very quickly, but they then very quickly just shoved it out the door.
Mm-hmm.
And they once again wrote the kids very seriously on this particular topic.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Matt, how about you? Favorite scene?
Favorite scene? Oh God, I almost went to tears again. The last moment with the Doctor and Sarah Jane.
Oh God, yeah, that was especially.
Well, I like to see you again.
Well, actually, he will. It'll just be Matt Smith. But no, the things you will do, the things you'll do in the future, and I'm just like, oh God damn it! There's only one season of this show left.
You're making me cry. Stop it.
Yeah.
My feels. You're killing my feels. Flop.
And it's only, of course, because, of course, Sladen died while filming Series 5, so...
Yeah, that particular is what just hammers that particular scene into you.
Mm-hmm. Makes it hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Not crying. It's onions.
Tim, how about you? What's your favorite scene?
My favorite scene is where Peter and Luke were bonding over the dinner, the luncheon thing, and Sarah comes back and they're all like, "So what are you talking about?" "Oh, no, nothing." Like, no, tell me. Like, no,
Where
no.
she's just proving their point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great moment. And that
Yeah,
was
if they
actually my
think
first
that
listen.
little weird alien was worthwhile just to have that scene in particular.
Mm-hmm.
Just to give Sarah an excuse to step out of the way so we can actually have a bond moment between the new possible dad and Luke.
All right.
I think it's because she's a reporter, don't you think so? Yeah, I always wondered about that. She's always trying to figure out what you're up about. Oh, here she comes. Watch.
Okay. So, Bill, how about you?
So I'm going to say the scene where the kids meet the Doctor. There's just something about the RTD era in general. And I have no idea who directed this or whatever, but the RTD era as a whole just has this way with epic scenes and just managing to add, an extra bit of flair to a scene. And this is one of those scenes where it just has that something extra.
Well, a good chunk of it is because of David Tennant's ability to act.
Yes.
He had that over the top personality,
Mm-hmm.
and it was absolutely perfect for appealing to kids.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh my God, it's him! Yeah.
Yeah, it took Ronnie and Clyde a few moments, but Ronnie was the first one to pick up, and she's just like, "Oh shit, it's him."
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, of course it's me, and he just kind of scampers off to a corner and looks around.
Mm-hmm. And we'll remind you that this is happening during 2009, so that means that Journey's End had already happened.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Which means that that the second meeting up with Sarah Jane had happened, and Sarah got to tell Luke she got to see him again.
And of course, it's before End of the World, where the Doctor gets his reward and saves Luke from getting run over. So that the linear progression there is Journey's End, this End of Time, with shit happening and on the Doctor's timeline in the middle, of course.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's somewhere in that year of specials, but we don't quite know where.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's because Sarah Jane and Luke experienced that linearly.
Mm-hmm.
The Doctor, not so much.
Doctor's not so much. He's always timey-wimey.
But in his timeline, we know it's in that year of specials, but we don't quite know where. It doesn't seem to be quite post Waters of Mars, I think.
Yeah, it's not quite Mars yet. He hasn't tried to go Time Lord Victorious yet.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to be fleeing from his upcoming past. He doesn't have
Mhm.
that much haunting him. So my personal thought is that it's between the next Doctor and Planet of the Dead. Yeah. I think that's where I would put it because
Although
he
he actually, he
Hmm.
seems a bit more relaxed than he did in Planet of the Dead, so it might be between that and Mars.
doesn't have the he will knock 4 times over his head.
And when was that? Was that in
That was
Planet of
Planet.
the Dead.
that was in Dead? Okay.
Yep, that was in Planet of the Dead. It was the very end of Planet of the Dead.
Gotcha.
He
And that
gets
starts to
prophecy.
just eat at him, and yeah.
And
Yeah.
then again, his whole thing about people leaving him might have been less of a thing when he's physically, in the company of somebody who left him, but is carrying on his life in his
Mhm.
absence.
Yeah. I do think Sarah Jane makes his hurt a little bit better
Mm-hmm.
just because of who she is. And
It's
what
like when you've been having a crappy year, but then you just went on vacation and visited one of your best friends from high
one
school.
of your
or
old
something.
friends, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Your old friend from 10 years ago and seeing how
Mhm.
they're doing, and you just dropped in for tea. Yeah, that's kind of what that
Dropped in
is.
for tea, save the universe. You know, the casual thing.
Okay. So, what are we at? Least favorite scene?
I believe so.
I think was that
that
the
was
last one?
my favorite scene.
That was, yeah, that was
Okay.
Bill's favorite.
Because I have to go with you on like most of those. Because I also like the part where, of course, the Doctor sees K9 again. Because that's always fun. Because there's just the sheer joy on his face when he does.
The boyish joy, because he was from the era when K9 was the best thing ever on Doctor Who.
Because every time it happens, it's half the Doctor, half David Tennant.
Mm-hmm. And it's
K9!
just him fanboying on screen. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so least favorite scene.
Ooh.
So this is Thomas.
Thomas first.
All right, so Thomas said, the Doctor confronting the Trickster. While I didn't mind it at first, the Doctor doesn't seem to take the Trickster all that seriously. To me, at least, that undermines how much he's fucked with Sarah Jane's life up to this point. Not saying he needed to be afraid or anything, just he should have at least been in don't fuck with my friends mode.
The thing is, he was. That first confrontation with the Trickster, you look at him, he has his game face going.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at his game face right now. He's giving him the serious eyes.
Yeah.
Like the I'm looking
I'm trying to
through
remember
you
the
eyes.
details of it myself. Like he might have.
Yeah, I'm even going to post it in the chat for you. I am staring daggers at you right now.
Yeah. That's pretty much his game face. He's upset.
I'm angry, and if you think you've seen crazy, you haven't seen crazy yet.
He's not going with, because remember, David Tennant has 2 main modes. He has a few side modes, but his 2 main modes we see is manic and pissed.
And this is definitely the transfer into the piss mode.
Yes. He's the piss mode coming out of the gate. He lightens up a little when the Trickster's gone and he's dealing with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes into his happy
because
manic mode.
but also that's probably because he's smart enough to go, don't make the kids panic, we're going to do this.
Correct. Let them know, let them assured that I'm the Doctor and I will handle this.
I need their help, but I can definitely help them handle this.
Mm-hmm. But he's not taking this flippantly.
No.
So I cannot agree with Thomas on this.
No, I have to argue against him on this one too. No, he's definitely taking this serious enough.
Okay,
This might not be a major threat, but this is definitely a threat.
So, least favorite scene for you, Matt?
Least favorite scene for me, I have to say the scene of Clyde walking onto the white cloudy stuff with the Trickster and giving him the aha gotcha handshake. Oi, Trickster, could you not see this coming?
I think though that would have been if he had gone, I wish to make a deal.
Yeah, they needed to write that a little bit better.
Yeah, they needed to rewrite it slightly because I think if they'd gone, I wish to make a deal.
Yeah, if they would have rewritten that a bit, they could have totally made that scene work. But the way it's handled, it's just like, bleh.
Yeah, it was kind of like I thought they could have done that better. Okay, so Tim, how about you? Your least favorite scene?
My least favorite scene is when the kids are on the TARDIS and they ask, "Can we go see dinosaurs?" And the doctor says no, and they all leave. You know, it's like you tease. Not the doctor tease, but the show is teasing.
They
Well,
couldn't,
no,
they couldn't
no,
even
the
get
doctor
one
looked like
adventure
he's willing
Jago
to.
and Lightfoot.
The doctor looks like he's about ready to go. Okay, all right, let's do that. But Sarah Jane's like, nope, nope.
No. Not
You're
until you're in
grounded
20s.
by
Not
the
until you're all
tree.
in your 20s. Out.
Your parents will kill me. Yeah.
Not risking that. Heaven forbid he'll suddenly regenerate and we'll be lost again for about a month.
That would have been an interesting regeneration if they just showed up on Doctor Who with Sarah Jane and the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and then the 11th Doctor pops out. Oh god, that would be really weird.
Okay, so Bill, how about you? What's your least favorite scene?
So, I think I'm actually going to go with the scene where the doctor objects, just because, like, I don't know, you see it coming from a mile away, and it's just exactly what you expect it to be. I mean, other than that, like, for a second, like, the wind picks up like a Final Fantasy villains that they're about to fight. But other than that, like, everything about the scene is just so telegraphed that it just kind of fell flat for me.
Where he's trying to stop the wedding?
Yeah.
I would have thought it would have been great if he's just like, stop! Oh, you seriously didn't think you were going to get married without me there to give you away, did you?
Haha.
That would have been a little bit better, but yeah.
And just that, and then as he got up there, he's like, wait a minute, something's not right,
Mm-hmm.
But not until then. Originally just showing up because he wanted to, he wanted to be there for Sarah Jane, I thought would have been awesome because it would have been...
Because besties.
Yeah.
Right. Or even if he showed up and he would just be like, someone's been trying to keep me away from this wedding, but it's not working.
How did park about a block down the road? Man, my leg's tired.
But, the object to the wedding is also the other man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So my least favorite scene, I just have to go with the blob escaping thing because it is just too sitcom. It's
Too bad I can't find a picture of that blob.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so cartoony.
It is. It's like, we're going to interrupt this episode for 3 minutes of cartoon. Here you go.
Only thing missing is that's all folks at the end.
Mm-hmm. We interrupt this episode of the Sarah Jane Adventures for 2 minutes of Roger Rabbit. All right. So that was my least favorite. Our final thoughts. Thomas is first.
Oh, sorry. So final thought. So he says, while I feel this story isn't anywhere close to being bad, something about the scale of this seems so much lower than the Trickster's previous appearances in a way that seems off to me. Almost as if this story should have been before the temptation of Sarah Jane Smith instead of the series after it. We go from someone she knew as a child to her parents to a guy she falls for but barely knew. I could see having between whatever happened to Sarah Jane and Temptation, but having it after Temptation seems a bit anticlimactic for the character. It is a crying shame Nicholas Courtney was unable to appear due to health reasons, as I think his inclusion could have made this more special. That all said, it's still a fun little story, just not as good as the previous Trickster appearance.
All right. And Matt, how about you?
I don't have any previous experience with the Trickster in person, but I have seen his minions at work, and I will say they are a little more impressive than him already. That being said, David Tennant coming into this does help make up for things, and the main cast, as usual, do a really good job in this. Elizabeth Sladen and all the kids always seem to do their best work for this show, and really does help it along. Some of the monster effects don't hold up, but then other shots they're perfectly fine. So I'm not sure what happened there. Maybe they just shot too long and were doing too fast, too quick, and didn't notice things. The plot for the most part is a trap that we've seen before, but not done quite in this way. So that was also interesting to see and trying to see how they would try figure their way out through it. I think that's about all I can give on that one.
All right. Tim?
I thought this was an ambitious episode that didn't quite live up to its potential, but not for lack of trying. They did its best. The Doctor was great. Great. The actor who played Peter did an admirable job, as well being likable. The Trickster, I prefer Mark Hamill's Trickster to this.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, that's a hard one to live up to. So
Right?
there you go.
Like that's setting the bar pretty high.
Yeah, that's a reference to the 1990s Flash series.
Well,
Or
also
the
the
current
cartoons.
Flash seasons.
And
or
the
the
current
current-
Flash too, yeah.
Yeah, they brought him back for the CW Flash.
They brought him back for multiple things, yeah.
Anytime they've got the Trickster, they tap Mark Hamill.
I'm waiting for Kevin Smith to bring Mark Hamill back.
So those are my thoughts.
Okay. Bill?
Right. So I'm pretty sure I had this is my first experience related to the Trickster. And I do like the idea. It's kind of actually kind of like a better version of the Celestial Toy Maker. But yeah, the episode had its ups and downs in terms of the marriage plot, but I do think that the acting of the main cast and the guest star, of course, are all really top notch and help keep the episode entertaining, even when there are flaws.
Is there anything else?
I think that's about it.
Okay. So this is a good episode, but I don't think it's a great episode. It has its flaws. The romance between Sarah Jane and her prospective husband seems forced and a little bit contrived. Sarah Jane, who had said previously in a couple seasons ago she was not looking for romance, suddenly getting involved like this seemed a bit out of character. There was a bit too much pratfalliness when they got to the little side story alien. And like I have said, I've never liked the Trickster as a bad guy because he just seems so ineffective. He's like a low-rent mouth of Sauron.
He just doesn't quite meet up to expectations, essentially.
He'd be great hench, but he doesn't feel like a big bad. Anyway, even though the main characters were great in this, the Doctor of David Tennant coming in, of course, is always top marks. An unbelievable actor, you gotta love him, and that does jump the quality up. But even though it is still still flawed, but good. All right, ratings. Thomas gave this a 3.5.
Which he says is the result of a coin flip between 3.5 or 4.
Matt, how about you?
I've had some little qualms, but I can't say there's a whole heck of a lot to take it away from me. But I will, and some of the acting does make up for it. So I'm kind of pretty much there too. I'm going to give it a 4.
All right. Or Tim?
Well, I really liked this episode, and I can't. There wasn't too much wrong with it, so I'll give this a 4.5.
Generous from Tim compared to everybody else. Bill?
That's our generous Tim.
I think this has a baseline of a 3 or a 3.5, but there are enough moments to bump it up to a 4 for me.
All right, 4 from Bill. And also a 4 from me, because like I said, it's good but not great. So, and oh yeah, Matt did the summary.
Mm-hmm.
So between all of that, dropping the 4.5, dropping the 3.5, it's a solid 4, average of 4.0.
Woo, woo.
4 plus 4, carry the 4.
Yep. Dropping the 4.5 from the generous judge and dropping the 3.5 from the Bulgarian judge.
Isn't that the Russian judge?
Sometimes it's the Russian judge, sometimes it's the Bulgarian judge. Depends on which sport.
Depends on the sport and their mood.
Yeah. All right, hetero by rating A, and we get this coming in at 129 out of 282. It is on par with, by the way, Revenge of the Slovene, which is also a 4.0. Along with
Sergeant.
Class, co-owner of A Lonely Heart, Torchwood, Everything Changes, Vengeance on Varos, The Runaway Bride, Attack of the Cybermen, Good Men Goes to War, Terminus, The Invisible Enemy, Castrovalva, etc., etc.
It's a lot of good company, yeah.
It's a lot of 4s, yeah. It is better than Knock Knock, The Deadly Assassin, The Brain of Morbius, Colony in Space, and Invasion of the Bane, but not as good as Oxygen, The Daemons, The Pilot, It Takes You Away, and Closing Time. So there you go. 129, 282. That's all we have to say about the wedding of Sarah Jane Smith.
All right, so don't forget to go ahead and comment with your thoughts on the wedding of Sarah Jane Smith, at least if you're watching on YouTube. I don't think you can comment on a Twitch highlight, but if I'm wrong, tell me
you
that.
can leave messages on it like you're watching a live stream.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'll trust Matt because he knows a hell of a lot more about Twitch than I do.
I've seen people comment on old streams, so.
All right. Don't forget to follow our channel, and you can also catch up with us at facebook.com/unearthlypodcast and twitter.com/unearthlypod.
All right, so next week will be the conclusion of our tribute to Elizabeth Sladen with the last episode in the entry of the Sarah Jane Adventures Death of the Doctor, written by Russell T. Davies and starring Elizabeth Sladen as Sarah Jane Smith, Tommy Knight as Luke Smith, Daniel Anthony as Clyde Langer, Anjali Mahendra as Rani Chandra, and guest starring Katie Manning as Joe Jones and Matt Smith as the Doctor. So double guest star next week.
Yep. All right. See you all next time.
See you then.